So I've gotten really into this whole Venus cycle thing. And the main thing about it is that every 8 years, Venus comes back to the place it was when you were born. And depending on where you were born, 4 years, it comes to an opposite place. So in my natal chart, Venus is a rising star moving fast, has moved into the light of the sun, so it can't be seen, moving toward a superior conjunction. So it is under the beams and kind of blown out. Now, 4 years from that year, it will be in the opposite place, and it will be retrograde or getting ready to go retrograde. So for me, after the first 4 years, then it's every 8 years that there's a Venus retrograde. And those are, in my life, turns out very, very critical periods. I thought at first it was periods in which I was rejected and brokenhearted. And that it's connected with that, but it's connected to those times that I have to, because I feel totally bereft and in the grip of longing for someone that I can't have, that I have to actually do the practices that I have spent a lot of time and money to try to learn. Those are the times that I've actually put into practice what I've learned. So they are the most, and something has gotten rooted into my basic practice during those retrograde periods. Now those retrogrades move forward in the zodiac about 2 degrees every year. So the retrograde period has gotten more and more toward Leo. And 8 years ago, Venus was retrograde in Leo, starting out retrograde in Leo. And since then, Venus has always been retrograde in Leo. Whereas in 99 and before, almost always those retrograde periods happened in Virgo and have been the most difficult but most useful parts of my life, or times in my life. So this is the chart for 8 years ago with retrograde Venus, but co-present and actually conjunct with Jupiter. Mercury also there, 10 degrees from the sun, and trine Uranus, which is rising. Saturn is square Venus, which is, a difficult and negative indication. Pluto is at the midheaven. The moon and Neptune are conjuncting in the 12th house. It's an interesting chart. So let's see what was said about it.
Everybody who is part of this is standing, and everybody who's not is sitting, just so we can differentiate the planets from the stars. So we are a embodied representation of Bill's solar return.
Say what everybody is first.
Well, if I'm Venus. Oh, you're Mercury. You're Mercury, and he's the sun.
That's right.
Yeah. She's in the 4th. She must be Mars.
Yeah, I know. We kind of hard to tell. Yeah.
Mars in the 4th, and what house is he in?
He's
in the 1st. He's rising.
He's in the 1st. He's Uranus. What a surprise! And then there's the moon and
Kendra.
The moon and Kendra.
The moon.
I know.
Right in,
I am
right
a
in.
planet. No. Neptune.
Neptune. The moon and Neptune. Yeah.
All right,
In the 12th.
so we're just going to say
Okay.
like one sentence or two from our planetary perspectives. Go ahead.
So once again, I'm Jupiter. I'm feeling okay, but it's really just too dark for me to feel like I can properly express myself.
Because it's a night chart.
But you're in the house of the sun.
Yeah, it'll be okay. Are you acting
Just because Saturn is casting a ray to maltreat you.
Yeah, we're all in this. It's a very pleasant house here.
I said we were just going to have a sentence or so.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, Bill, as long as you're in Venus's role.
Trying to make things better.
So I'm Mercury here, and I'm in a house with some. I'm feeling pretty good because I'm of the night sect in this particular chart, and I'm with some people of my sect, and we're having fun in the 5th house.
But what's better and what's most important, and what you may have forgotten, is that you are exactly trying to Uranus, who is rising.
Giant Uranus.
This is like a message from the aliens to the gods.
Try Uranus.
I tried to tell him that.
It's a trying.
That's okay though, because like the sun doesn't. The sun's not troubled by it. Sun's not troubled. His story, is that he's been here before, but he's back to the 5th house, and it's a house of merriment and gains of the body, and so it's a very pleasant place to be. He's feeling pretty good about it, and pretty sure that it's the only thing going on.
It's a place of entertainment.
That's right.
To have fun.
Yeah, the clubhouse. Yeah, the clubhouse.
Yeah,
Oh my
the
God.
clubhouse,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I can see. It's dark. I can see. And I am here all alone, but at least I have my malefic brothers that I can see. Yes.
At least there's someone to,
Yeah.
do that at.
Hey, Mars. Let's really fuck some.
Those guys totally.
Oh, Saturn.
Mars is in the 4th, huh?
Mars is right in the subterranean house.
Mars is in Cancer in the 4th. My house is going to burn down? Why? This is not good. Saturn, I'm not worried about. Saturn is
isn't the place of
bona
death.
fide in 3 different ways. And stationary. Stationary moving direct. Bona fide in 3 different ways. Saturn, even though he's in the house of death, is my ally and my friend. Will help me this year. I have total confidence in him.
All right.
Well, it's okay.
I am
even though-
Uranus! I have been slowly working my way through the heavens for this moment, William, that I may sit upon your ascendant on the moment of your solar return and bring all the upheaval that is part of being Uranus. Here, square Mars. Oh, that may be tough, but such ripe conditions for spiritual evolution. Oh, it'll be great. And shit's gonna be all over the place. At least for you.
He's ready.
Oh yeah.
At least it'll excite my mind and give me fresh new ideas, even though it will totally fuck up my body and probably cause me to have a nervous breakdown.
Well, Venus is retrograde.
Yeah, Venus is retrograde.
Well, I'm the moon, and I'm in prison, so I can't really express myself completely, but I can at least see my malefic kin, Mars and Saturn.
And you are
I
the
know
sect
they're
lord.
I know they're at least there. I feel good in the dark. Feel like I'm giving light to all my dark minion. And I'm here with Neptune.
Whose house are you in?
I'm in prison.
Whose house? But
I'm
who rules
in
the house?
Pisces,
Oh, Jupiter rules the house.
right?
Jupiter's.
It's a freezing place.
And also a train.
Yeah.
We gotta do this thing right now.
You gotta talk.
pausing until he dreams. Okay. Let's see. I'm Neptune, guys. And I know we're in this like really difficult to get out of prison, but I totally have this awesome plan for escape. I am gonna build an astral body and I am breaking out of this shit! Yeah! Woo!
Isn't gonna work. Isn't gonna work.
You always say that, Moon, but you know what? I really believe that anything is possible.
Well, especially when the moon is with Neptune. It's definitely possible. And Neptune was rising in the natal chart, so it's got to be possible.
They weren't being overpowered.
It
by
is
Saturn
not
over
just
there.
it's not just a delusion and a lot of static.
See?
Saturn's going to oppress them.
I'm right again.
Your spiritual vehicle is riding by now.
It's like a train.
Spirit train.
I am Pluto.
Oh, damn, Pluto.
And I can see somewhat, yes, I can see.
What house are you in? You're on the midheaven? Oh, yeah. You're on the midheaven.
He's a
You
He's
can
conjunct in the
see
heaven.
everyone
He's
from
right on
above.
the heaven.
Let's blow some shit up.
Yeah, and I'm very explosive and I don't know.
There goes his career.
We got this on tape, Simon.
Yeah, and he's squared Uranus, too. This is the times. There's just nothing but destruction and chaos
This is gonna be
ahead.
a great year.
One affecting my career and the other my body and my very being. Both of them up to no good and probably aliens.
Well, at least it's only Uranus.
We got a really solid house here. Come on,
Well,
we
they're
can
oppressing
band
them, and
together.
He's gonna oppress them, and
Well,
everything's going to work out fine.
there is
until-
this
until we
amazing
get oppressed.
combination between Jupiter and Venus, the benefics in the house of Leo enclosing Saturn and bonify him.
I'm being
in 3 ways.
enclosed and bona
It's good for
fide.
you.
Made into a
Good
good spirit, made into something that helps me, even though he's hard.
See what
Even though
Saturn
it's
has
difficult,
to do.
it helps me, it benefits me.
And
And
even
he
though-
himself is elevated beyond all his possible dreams.
Yo,
The 8th house is the house of death.
Yeah, but
It is also the house of inheritance
and other people's money.
and other people's money. And Saturn is also trining Chiron, which was unable to appear tonight. To bonify it,
Occulted.
though the lessons may be hard.
Yeah.
And I'm also trine Mars with reception,
Oh. Yeah.
receiving a bonification.
Trying Mars with reception.
Trine Mars.
Oh, damn. Fights are going to be
Yeah.
worthwhile.
But in the
And work
depths,
out
in the
well.
subterranean house.
And whatever resistances I encounter will be overcome with great, healthy, harmonious young chi.
And all from the clubhouse. With both benefics present.
Even
We
though
thought you
Venus
could
is
speak
retrograde,
about
we still have a
Venus,
sweet
too.
club.
Oh, yeah, well,
Not that you haven't. You say more.
well, a lot of people say that it's a problem, Venus being retrograde. I don't see it necessarily that way. It's a recapitulation, a remembering of...
It passed Jupiter, and now it comes back to Jupiter again before the going away.
Well, it went into Virgo, which is not a good place for it, and it came back into Leo to reconnect with Jupiter to enclose Saturn. So they are together. They are in Leo, the sun's sign. What could go wrong? Other than a malefic ray from Saturn.
It will oppress him because he's oppressing them.
Acting
Yeah.
from the 8th.
But
Yeah, active in the 8th. Death could be a factor, but
But you've already
There's worse
it's
experienced that.
dignified
there's
death.
worse fates,
Yeah, yes. worst things that can happen.
Die doing
Drawn and,
Yeah,
drawn and quartered.
quickly, so that it doesn't
Narwhals
hurt.
is good for you.
Okay.
So here's a question, Bill. So Venus is the ruler of the year based off
No,
of...
Mercury's the ruler of the year. Who is trying Uranus.
Okay, so you
And
count,
with the sun.
so you counted
She's
around...
occulted. She's occulted.
So did you count around the zodiac?
Yeah.
68?
60 is Libra.
60 is Libra.
61, Scorpio. 62, Sagittarius. 63, Capricorn. 64, Aquarius. 65,
Virgo.
Pisces. 66, Aries. 67, Taurus. 68, Gemini.
Gemini. Okay.
Ruled by Mercury. Yeah. So even though she's so close to the sun that she's not seeing, still she's trying the ascendant and trying Uranus. So
Well, she's trying around.
aliens
Try
will
Uranus.
connect direct through me and give me a message for all of humanity, particularly the club.
Particularly the clubhouse.
All right.
That's a good omen.
Sounds like a good
But we don't have to try on Uranus either.
Wow. They're all pickling great. And I'm selling them to a buddy of mine at the pickling business.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody getting their food?
I just put out the third planting today. So I'm selling him about 15 pounds a week of pickling fruit. When they're too big, then I don't know if he wants me to
Speak from the Dantian.
And I'll stand up and
Project a little.
project, yes. So this is my performance. It's a magic performance. So I have been seriously studying, communicating with the Hun of the ancestors, or whatever ancestors I can get a hold of. As near as I can tell, there is only one ancestor that or one person who has the real possibility of being an ancestor that I have both a link to, as well as he may not be doing anything else. Because even though he lived to an age in which becoming an ancestor was possible and even probable, essentially there are only two people that I know of, that he knew of, that he left that could possibly feed him. And an ancestor needs food, just like we do, or he loses interest and goes away. If you can feed an ancestor, then they can or have an interest in or will want to benefit you in some way. It's not totally foreign to Western business ideals. You do something for them, they do something for you. It's not immoral, but you do have to figure out what they want as food and try to give it to them. So I read it. I read up in books about it, and I also researched as much as I could the life of I don't really know his name. Li was the name he was called by. Li Dao, short for Li Dao Ren, Taoist man Li. Li Jie is the word that they use in the books. I read a couple of other names too. The names are complicated with these guys, though I think it's important to find the right way to. I think Li Dao will do, because as a Daorin. He is an ancestor for a particular approach, particular style of practice. And my hope is, though, that even though he probably never in his life saw a foreigner and considered, as near as he could tell from his personal experience, that they were demons and very, very dangerous and should be fought off if there was any way that possible, still he was an interested and interesting guy. One thing I read in the last week that I didn't really realize was that he, although he was a Hermetic Taoist in his old age, meaning that he lived in monasteries that were relatively inaccessible, that basically where if you were a Taoist, you were part of the club, you could go, you could give them the line of your generation, the piece of poetry that you memorized for basically a passport, and they fed and took care of you. Though by the time Wong knew him, he was well known every place that he went, and people were happy to see him. But he didn't spend all of his time just in monasteries. He would go to village festivals. Periodically, Chinese villages get together to try to enlist gods to help them fight demons and to have a good time, to eat well, to show off, to do performances, but mostly to secure the help of the gods. He would go to festivals like this and just set up a table like all the other vendors and read fortunes, do prescriptions, talk to people, be a regular guy. And people would, of course, would line up. And he could only stay like a day or so because people, if they heard he was at one of these things, would come from miles around to be with him, talk to him, maybe get him to tell them something about what their life meant or what was going to happen to them, or cure them, hopefully. All those people are dead and gone. You go to where he was from. There are old people who still do remember him, but it's not like the generation before his, where if you had someone who knew this stuff and you studied with him as a child, then your remembrance of them would be a major part of how you practiced. This is why Wong, anytime he started talking about this guy, would break down crying, because he felt like he was never able to do that for him. And I really haven't started to understand this till lately. Provide a means whereby his Hun can be fed so that he can function fully as an ancestor. So I read up on how you construct a Taoist altar. It's a wonderful world. You can get books on this now. So you have the icon of the ancestor. Before it is the central light, maybe representing the Sheng Hun, the primordial light that always shines and is always bright, from which we come and back to which we go. And then on the side, two tall candles, which are the sun and the moon, and the two eyes, which when enlightening happens, glow with light. Then, well, it's probably better to start at the bottom. Probably start with the dawn. The dawn is the incense burner, the cauldron, which is the Dantian, which is where transformation needs to start. And it needs to start in the body. And the 3 incense sticks represent the 3 parts of the body. They go in the Dantian to start the process of transformation. These incense sticks, by the way, come from the Chingchong Monastery, where Wang spent much of his training period and came back to many times in his life, and where I learned the 18. The incense sticks are like the body. The smoke rises to heaven with the essence of the smell, and the ash drops away and falls back to the earth. And in between is this burning point where yin meets yang and life happens. Then you move up to the 5 phases, the J-U-E. Kendra, how do you say that? Ju?
What?
Jue.
Due.
Jue. The Jue Hun. The Hun that is working with the 5 phases, that needs our food. And he needs the food of the black, the kidney, green, the liver, red, the heart, orange, the spleen, white, the lungs. The transformation of substances within the yin energies of the body to lift up toward the central light. But first, the transformation of yin and yang. You've got on the left the bowl of water, which is the yang force. On the right, the bowl of tea, which is the yin force. The yin and yang come together and make the bowl of rice, the qi. Combination of the 3 forces. Then the yang qi rises up, connects with the ancestor. That thing that I was doing on the 3 Hun last week, I didn't get to finish the exercise. There was an exercise with it. You've got the Sheng Hong, the Sheng Hun, which is connected to heaven and is always being born in, and you've got the Ling Hun, which is magical on earth and is struggling with what to do about Jing, and in the middle you have the Jia Hong, which is trying to see everything. The Sheng Hun is always being born, the Ling Hun is dying. All 3 of those experiences, being born, dying, and seeing, have to be brought together. This is the work exercise that was then given. Li Jie, wherever he might be, help us in the 8 directions.
Yeah. Need another drink to
But I find what my performance was for that evening relevant and interesting. Venus Retrogrades for me have always been a time in which I am forced back upon my own inner resources, which oftentimes were practices. Now, this particular Venus retrograde, because now they're happening in Leo and they're much nicer, but they do, I think, pull me into some sort of reflection on, we'll call it the Venus archetype, the yearning within a person to connect with other beings. I think this was the period in which I really, in terms of internal works, really started taking seriously the idea of an internal connection with ancestors, with Wong and with Li Jia. Probably my central practice starting back when I was 4 was always the feeling what it is that I feel, even though that feeling is that of rejection, to focus in and try to connect within my own heart rather than wishing or planning or thinking or trying to figure out something to do to get someone to love me. Which it's embarrassing at this age to say, but this is the way someone with my particular kind of Venus configuration at birth often is. Oftentimes my leaving or alienation in terms of stepping out of a group is connected with this Venus cycle as well. My Venus is 1 degree Leo and the Sun is 9, so it's under the beams, co-present with Leo in the 11th, within 5 degrees of the midheaven. The whole problem of Venus, which tends to fall big and hard in some kind of exaggerated way. And the opposite of that is then when Venus goes retrograde and you are left alone and bereft, still in love, but rejected.
That's the worst thing in the world.
That's the worst thing in the world, but the best thing in the world for internal practice. And in reality, those were the times in my life that I really developed what it is that I value most, is what I do by myself, and is rooted in choosing to feel what it is I feel, even if that's just rejection and loneliness.